Tony, is Sayegh, Tony?
That's me, Tom. Great to be with you.
Great to have you with us. I'm sorry I didn't have ultimately I did have the pronunciation of your name right. But you're a political news analyst, campaign management consultant, government affairs professional. The website, thehappyright.com, which would incline me to suspect that you are part of the Happy Right.
Indeed I am.
Okay.
A lot to be happy about today, that's for sure.
So Americans want the rich to pay more taxes. And you guys, Paul Ryan wants Mitt Romney's tax rate to go from 13% down to 1%. And all the guys on Wall Street, their tax rate to go down to 0%. Is there, first of all, why?
Well, first of all, Tom, it really is great to be on your show. I am a fan, even though we don't necessarily agree, and this initial question is a perfect reflection as to why. This notion that we don't have a very progressive tax code already is a total liberal canard. The top 0.1% pay more in federal income taxes than the lower 80%.
The top 0.1% of the United States owns 40% of all the wealth in this country.
That's another canard as well. That it's all concentrated among the top 1%. This is the problem. This issue,
400 wealthy, the Forbes 400. This is not a canard. It's in Forbes magazine. The Forbes 400 people own half the wealth in America.
And they pay more taxes than the lower 80%. So even if I accept your number,
and 100 of those 400 people paid no taxes whatsoever in any of the last 5 years.
Which is the
and you can find that in
which
Forbes
is the
magazine.
Right case. Which, by the way, is the exact reason there's a strong case for real tax reform, which will get everybody paying their fair share and eliminate loopholes and deductions.
Yeah, but when you guys say real tax reform,
Paul Ryan and Mitt Romney have been talking about, as have most Republicans. Listen, the other issue you cannot escape is the fact that even if you did raise these taxes, you're going to fund the federal government for an additional 6 weeks. It's not as if this is going to be the panacea that's going to solve our nation's debt and deficit problems.
Well, then how is it that we had a surplus when Bill Clinton was president?
Well, Bill Clinton cut the capital gains taxes, Tom. Your argument doesn't hold water with him. But he actually cut the capital gains rates.
It was only 5%. It was only 5% that he cut the capital gains rate.
Well, he cut them enough to stimulate growth because capital in the hands of individuals is best to be reinvested into our economy and grow the economy.
So you think that was responsible for the dot-com boom, not the invention of the internet?
Well, the internet certainly had a lot to do with it, but how about the funders? How about the funders who actually put money behind the enterprises that went and took the risk to try to
taxes on rich people by 3%, and you guys are all hysterical about it. He balanced the budget. I mean, today you've got 6 people, the 6 Walton heirs to the Walmart fortune. They own, 6 people own more than the bottom 30% of all Americans. How can that be a healthy thing for a nation?
Funders when he was governor of Arkansas and ultimately became president. Listen,
and his wife was on the board of Walmart. But how can that be a good thing for the nation?
Ultimately, the only thing that's going to solve this problem of income inequity in America is a growing economy. Raising taxes on rich people does not grow the economy. You could certainly make...
Why is it then that during those periods of time when we had highest taxes on rich people, we had the fastest growing economy? When we had lower taxes on rich people?
That's actually not correct. The fastest growing economy we had was during John Kennedy when he cut top marginal rates drastically.
Not
and
true.
when we had Ronald Reagan cut top marginal rates drastically.
Not true. You had one of the worst recessions since the Great Depression during Ronald Reagan. And if you look at decades,
it was gone by 2 years into his term.
Well, when he started spending, when he borrowed it, $2 trillion, just borrowed it, put it on the credit card, no plan to ever pay it back. We're still trying to pay it back and spend it on Star Wars. Of course, you give me a $2
you're talking about money
I'll show you what it looks like to
fighting
live
the
large.
Cold War. I mean, you're talking about Barack Obama in 4 years who spent $6.5 trillion. You don't really seem to be offended by that. And
the point is that if you look at the
Stimulus
decade of the
worked.
50s, and if you look at the decade of the 60s, and you look at the decade of the 70s, those are the only 3 decades in the history of the United States when GDP consistently over a 10-year period was above 3.2%. Highest in history. And those 3 decades, the top tax rate on wealthy individuals after they had earned their first $1 million was between 91% and 74%.
The economy grows best when the private sector is liberated to reinvest its capital.
Not true.
Not when government redistributes it. You know what? Look, you and I could say not true. Yes, my point's right, your point's right. At the end of the day,
where is this Reagan prosperity? We've had Reaganomics for 30 years, and the middle class is in the toilet. Where is this prosperity that's come about as a result of your theories?
No, the toilet that the middle class finds itself in is largely due to the fact that the unions have made it so uncompetitive to actually create jobs.
The unions have gone from
jobs
30% of the U.S. workforce when Reagan came into office to 7% of the private workforce now, and you're going to try and blame this on them?
They still run a lot of states where they don't have right-to-work laws. They still have a whole lot of influence over the Democratic Party. Well, those states are where you have fair wages, you have growing economies, and you have low unemployment and high quality of life. You could call it what you want.
Come on, that's nonsense. You know that.
It's not nonsense.
It's
not nonsense.
That the 25...
Go look at the statistics. You like statistics, right? You like facts. Go look and compare the budgets and standards of living in right-to-work states versus non-right-to-work states. It's much more advantageous to live in a state that has right-to-work laws.
What you will find is that those states, we've seen this experiment now for 3 years, in those states where you've got, those 25 states where you've got Republican governors who have cut spending and who have cut taxes, you've actually seen unemployment go up and GDP go down. In those 25 states where you've got Democratic governors and legislatures, where you have seen an increase in taxes and an increase in spending, you have seen an increase in employment and a decrease
how's New York
and an
doing?
Increase in GDP.
They are How's California
growing.
And New York? They're not growing.
The biggest problem that California has is that right-wing proposal that was put on that requires a supermajority in the whatever they call it, the General Assembly to raise taxes.
California,
you guys hobbled the state, and now you're sitting around looking. Look at this. The state is hobbled.
Look financially stable. There hasn't been a Republican governor in California, if you consider Schwarzenegger a real Republican, since Pete Wilson. I mean, Schwarzenegger has been operating as much a liberal or moderate Democrat as you possibly could find.
Come on.
Look. At the end of the day, you have to respect individual achievement and private property rights.
Well, I do. I absolutely respect individual achievement and private property.